This is a video about a topic that has been on my mind for the last couple of weeks, I would say, and that topic is not a good one. It's not a great one. It's a little sad. I love Escape from Tarkov, but I think we have to face the facts here. Tarkov is falling behind. Now, when I first started playing Tarkov in Raid, I was getting the jitters. I was getting excited. I would find a LEDX. I would go crazy. Graphics card go crazy. Bitcoin go crazy. And now that I've played it for 9,700 hours, it doesn't quite have that same pull. Honestly, now what I feel is just this utter dread, this existential dread. This feeling started when they reworked the armor for the first time with the plates. And for 6 months, we played with upper thorax, lower thorax, right thorax. Terrible one-shot hitboxes where you would wear level 6 helmet, level 6 armor, and get one tap by a shotgun scav, no problem, because the buckshot found the sweet spot. So for 6 months, the armor was a problem, and what did we end up with? We reverted it right back to what it was with like extra steps. Not a great start. Then the Unheard edition, that's a whole thing. What are you gonna do about that other than not do it? But the Unheard thing really left that poor taste. I think another big thing is them dedicating all this time to Tarkov Arena, and I just don't think Arena is a great product. It runs the same as Tarkov, which not great. The game mode that it launched with was absolute rubbish. And then they added a Counter-Strike mode, and I can't stress this hard enough. If I wanted to play Counter-Strike, I would just play Counter-Strike. Doing another game poorly is never a great way to success. That sort of wasted time on Arena, I think it's wasted. Obviously, they don't. They've put so much time and effort and money into it that they're kind of committed to it. I haven't touched Arena this whole wipe. Barely touched Arena last wipe. It just does not do a single thing for me as a Tarkov player, which I think is rough because I would assume I am the audience or the clear-cut customer for this, and it did not do anything for me. But overall, just like the game's performance has been pretty rough. The hideout makes the game pretty rough. They've added so much to the hideout, but every time you go into the hideout, it makes your in-raid performance lag. So you have to close out of the game, and it's a cycle that just keeps, you know, it just takes up your time. Two, three, four, five of the most recent examples, all these big bugs. I had a bug where flashlights were working on my end, but not on my opponent's end. And the only reason I knew that is because the person that killed me happened to be streaming, and I watched his POV and I realized that the flashlight wasn't working, but it was blinding me, but he was just looking at me like I was a dumbass. Like, there's not even a flashlight on his screen! What is the dude? Okay. Something's broken. My last session of Tarkov, my flashlight button wouldn't work. No matter how hard I tried, I smashed that T button.
Try it again.
And it just didn't work. One of the biggest bugs in Tarkov right now, I cannot even fathom how it happened. Your first mannequin in your hideout, what you put on that mannequin counts as in raid with you. So you could Red Rebel paracord, you can mark stuff, you can put cameras. All of that on the first mannequin counts as in raid with you. I can't even explain how that could possibly happen. But the game is still filled with bugs 8 years later.
These delays literally break the design of my network chart, as I did not anticipate that I would ever encounter a game with such long delays.
All of these things have sort of come to the top, right? I was able to excuse these things before, but now they're all coming to the top, and I really dread playing Tarkov these days. And I think that sort of feeling got even more apparent because I played ABI, Arena Breakout Infinite, and it's a game with certainly less depth than Tarkov, but everything within the game works. The graphics are pretty solid, performance pretty solid, matchmaking times pretty solid, how to manage your stash pretty solid. Everything works. It might not be the most flashy game or, you know, have the most depth, the story, all those sorts of surrounding things, but the game itself, 9 out of 10. Really good. And now I've been playing a lot of Delta Force, and Delta Force, a lot of people said it, and I think I agree with it. It's kind of what DMZ, or what I call DMV because it was boring as shit, was kind of supposed to be. And they also added a little bit of Apex to it, and it's nice. And guess what? It functions. The graphics, great. The performance, it might run a little hot, but still great. And the matchmaking time, nearly zero. So once I played ABI, once I played Delta Force, I kind of realized what like a functioning game felt like, because we've had Tarkov and Cycle and Marauders and all these games, and none of them have really fully felt like a polished performance-wise. And then ABI and Delta Force have felt that way. And it was really jarring. It was really eye-opening about how better they were performance-wise than Tarkov kind of has ever been, I think. I think ABI and Delta Force both make it so much easier to just like play the game, to just play the raids. When you play Tarkov, it's so draining. You die or live, and then you have to go through like 4 menus, and every menu is so slow and it takes so long to load. And oh, I want to buy and sell, so I have to go to the fleet. Oh, I want to go into my hideout. Oops, I have to restart my game. It's almost like Tarkov does a lot of things to keep you out of raid, whereas ABI and Delta Force want you raiding almost constantly, and they make everything super streamlined. The biggest difference there for me that I realized, the flea. I think the flea / like buying and selling stuff in ABI and Delta Force is infinitely better. They only give you 2 options to sell. So you have like a market price or a trader price. And then those are the 2 options. Easy peasy, right? But with Tarkov, you have to filter it on the flea to check the price. Oh, it's 18,000. I'm going to go check what trader to sell to. Oh, it's 16,000. Is it worth it to sell on the flea? Let's go see what it is with the fees. Oh, it's not. Let me go back to the trader. Way too long. Awful. Same with like buying gear or buying stuff to craft in your hideout in Delta Force. There's a button that you literally click and it just fills it all in. If it takes a gunpowder and a tape, you click a button, it brings up the menu to buy the gunpowder and the tape in one list. You click it, boom. Easy. Things like that, I don't think a Tarkov player is like fully aware of like the drain and the grind of just doing that simple thing, buying and selling an item, right? But when you go to something else, you're like, oh my God, it could be so much better. Another big quality of life example that I was super blown away with, I still talk about it all the time and I'll continue to rant and rave about it. In Arena Breakout is healing, unequivocally. All your heals are mapped to basically a single button, and it has like a smart heal system. You will hit the button and it'll just heal you. However long that takes, but it'll just keep doing it, right? And in Tarkov, if you get shot by a scav and you bleed and you lose 1 HP on all of your limbs with the individual HP pools, guess what? You're saluting 7 separate times. Woo! That's interesting. That's fun. That's exciting. It's not. It just sucks. And that quality of life in ABI is amazing. It's something I wouldn't have really thought about otherwise. Tarkov's been out for 8 years, right? Whenever you see a feature in a different extraction shooter that would fit pretty much perfectly in Tarkov, you just go, why didn't they do that? And that question that constantly comes up, why didn't they do that, is a scary one, because it's either A, they're not thinking of these good ideas, or they don't want to implement these good ideas, which, you know, debatably good or bad. B, they can't implement these things. I mean, think about how long it took to get pinned cases in your stash. I think we've been asking for it for like 2 years, and it's been coming soon for 2 years. Can they just not do things? I don't know. It just seems like Tarkov is actively like hurting their players. They're focused on all these crazy complex systems that don't necessarily add to the game. I talked about armor. If you look at the armor before it was reworked, it was just simple. You wear the armor, it has an HP value, you know, it covers the certain areas. And it worked, I think, pretty well. And I think the community thought it worked pretty well. But then they wanted to implement plates, and everything was bad for 6 months. Plates didn't matter. Bullets were hitting soft armor. The hit reg in the game, not that great often, which led to a lot of issues where, like, I remember distinctly, I have a clip where I was staring at a guy face to face. The hitbox counted as the back of the head, and I was told that's correct. After all that time invested into these plates, they went back to the old armor system with plates. That process, like the timeline of Armor, is kind of representative of everything that I think is wrong with Tarkov. They'll make something, it works perfectly fine for the game, it's very suitable for the game, it's a good gameplay experience, and then they'll try to tweak it because they wanted to do this big broad thing, and inevitably it gets kind of screwed. Given how ABI and Delta Force work, maybe just simpler is better. Maybe they have to reel it in and really focus on the things that matter to the game, not necessarily to the content. Because they want to add new guns, and their guns have like 1,700 freaking animations. They're super detailed, and they look great. Do we need another M4 variant, shotgun variant? They just don't do it for me anymore. I would love to not have to reset or close out of the game and bring it back up after like 5 raids. You have to constantly close out over and over again. If I don't touch the hideout. Once you load the hideout, the game runs like crap. 8-year-old game. I got nothing for you. That's pretty much my overall feeling with Tarkov right now. A deep contemplative thought, and then then again, maybe I'm just like old, burnt out, and this whole going through 17 steps to get to a thing, you know, maybe I'm just over it. I can't even sugarcoat it. Just this game that's beautiful, so much promise, so many cool things that they do with it, and yet the game itself just, it feels like I'm fighting it. I want to do this thing, I have to fight it. I don't feel that at all with a game like Delta Force. Player friendly, quick, bing bang boom, right back in it. Tarkov, gotta get through a lot to get back into it. I know this is just my opinion, coming from somebody who's played 9,700 hours of Tarkov. You don't have 9,700 hours in this game! I used to be able to excuse it, glass half full, but not so much anymore. I would love to know, you know, what you think are the goods and bads of Tarkov, the goods and bads of ABI, the goods and bads of Delta Force, and I think we could kind of, obviously we can't program the remedy, but we could kind of get to a place where I think we would really like to see all of these games, because I think the more competition is better. Another thing I would love to hear, this is a big one. If you're still playing Tarkov, let me know why. And if you're not playing Tarkov, let me know why. One last question, man. Is it worth it to keep holding out on the promise of what a thing could be, or is this just kind of is what it is? But thank you so much. Make sure to like and share the video. And of course, please, please, please comment. Love you all. Until the next time.